It needs to do this. Okay, Mrs. Fisher.
Here.
Mr. Gayhart.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mr. Martell.
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Ray.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Ms. Degner.
Here.
Ms. Gottschalk.
Here.
We do have a quorum. We will continue. I will note that this meeting has been noticed per state statutes. Do we have any community participation? Not seen any. We'll dispense with reading that. And we'll go to approval of our meeting minutes. Regular meetings minutes are attached to the agenda. Closed session I passed out to everyone other than Mr. Martell. Any questions on those?
Should we do them separately? Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 11th regular session school board meeting as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the May 11th, 2020 regular school board meeting as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Gayhart.
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mr. Martell.
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Ray.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Ms. Degner.
Yes.
And Ms. Gottschalk.
Yes.
Motion carried. Now looking for a motion for the closed session.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the May 11th closed session school board meeting as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the May 11th, 2020 closed session school board meeting as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Gayhart.
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mr. Martell.
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Ray.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Ms. Degner.
Abstain.
And Ms. Gottschalk.
Abstain.
Motion carried. General and other fund bills, Mr. Truen.
The general other fund bills cover checks number 139893 through 140045, wire transfers number 804, and ACH check numbers 307 through 319 in the combined amount of $200,606.24. And there was a follow-up memo on providing some additional information on several of the bills in your packet. And you probably noticed there were a number of refunds that we processed.
Quite a few.
There were quite a few. Yeah. And we did give parents opportunity to kind of carry that over to like next year's field trips. So some did and some wanted to refunds.
I'm just going to ask you about the treasurer's report. Equalization aid, when do you get, I'm assuming there's still another payment to come.
Yeah, we get it the third Monday of June.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay, I
yeah.
knew it was that.
Yeah.
And handicap aid the same way?
It comes in installments, so the timetables are different, but
Okay.
the last one's the same time.
Oh, okay, all right.
Other questions for Mr. Truen? Otherwise, looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the general and other fund bills of May 26, 2020. Check numbers 139893 to 140045. Wire number 804 and ACH check numbers 307 to 319 in the combined amount of $200,606.24 as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of May 26, 2020, checks number 139893 to 1400. Oh, losing my mind today. To 140045. Wire number 804 and ACH check numbers 307 to 319, the combined amount of $200,606.24 as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Gayhart.
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mr. Martell.
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Ray.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Ms. Degner.
Yes.
Ms. Gottschalk.
Yes.
Motion carried. Report and discussion items. Student report.
All right, who would like to do your last student report, or are you both wanting to chime in?
I think it's going to be a mixture of both, but I can start us off. So I just want to say thank you to all the teachers for everything that you guys have done for us. And I know it's the last week for seniors, So that's kind of crazy to think about as me being a senior as well. But you guys have really been awesome, and we appreciate everything that you have done. I know all the seniors are super ready to graduate, but we will definitely miss everyone from the school. Definitely. But Kylie, do you have anything to add, or nothing's really that different?
I would just like to add like a big thank you to everyone on the school board and off. Just thank you for this opportunity. We've learned a lot, and it's really been a great experience. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to both of you. You've been very consistent in attending all the meetings, including the flip meetings. And we mailed their gift to them and their thank you cards. Did you guys get those yet?
Yes, thank you so much. That was so sweet.
Yeah, it really was.
Well, thank you for all your time. It's much appreciated. And just so you know, there's one more item for you to learn. The gift cards are at the maximum allowable level. That's not taxable. So.
Personal finance.
Yep.
Which is $20 for the mother. Large lump sum. All right.
Director's report, Ms. G.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again to Rachel and Kylie. It's been wonderful watching you navigate the meetings this year. We've enjoyed listening to your reports, and as I go through some of the things I'll share tonight, I'm sure you will recall happy memories of participating in some of these events in past years as well. So tonight, what happened is I kept sending Jody and Jason some things like, this would be nice to share with the board, and this would be nice to share with the board. And soon I'm like, why don't I just take on the director's report and we can compile all of that into an update on our gifted and talented programming for this year. So that is what we have done. So
Give me
basically,
1 second, Amy. It's having a challenge opening directly from that link. So
okay.
let me go back and share.
If you,
again.
do you want me to share it again in another email? I see we've got a couple.
I got it now.
Okay.
Now you should be able to see it.
Yep. Looks good. All right. So in compliance with what is commonly known as standard T in the world of gifted education, the Elkhorn Area School District not only has a policy, and Jason, you could move ahead one slide, would be great. Not only has just a well-developed gifted and talented policy in place, but tonight I'd like to showcase some of the programming that's happened during the 2019-20 school year. This is always a nice evening to showcase that. Unfortunately, we don't have the students in this evening. We started a little tradition last year that was fantastic with them sharing their anthologies with you, those of our students who were published. I thought we started a nice tradition, and hopefully next year we'll be able to continue that. But regardless, we'll move ahead. I just want to recognize some of our GT resource teachers in the district. I'd also tonight just want to highlight some of the opportunities we continue to provide, and then just talk about what things look like specifically for our intellectually gifted students. So it goes without saying that our elementary resource teachers, middle school resource teachers, and our high school resource person, a huge thank you to them for just being the boots on the ground at each site who assist with the programming. But none of this would be possible without the talented 4K through 12th grade teachers that we have on staff, support of our administrators. You know, we are really blessed to live in a community where we're meeting the needs of all of our learners, doing our best, and that includes our gifted learners as well. One of the things I also want to highlight tonight is there is a network of about 35 to 40 school districts in southeastern Wisconsin, and that's known as the Southern Lakes Advanced Learners Network. Many of them are GT coordinators, just a few are administrators like myself. But this was a group that I started with a long time ago when I moved into the world of gifted education, and they continue to provide programming for teachers, programming for parents, as well as kind of a collaborative effort on some of the other activities that some of our students participate in, as noted here. A few years ago, we were outgrowing the space that we were utilizing for our meetings, and we had just finished our new additions. And so for the last 2 years, we've been hosting this organization for about 4 or 5 meetings a year. And we have now outgrown our space upstairs in our largest room. And so we'll be now meeting at CISA 2. But I just wanted to say a public thank you to them, because on behalf of this organization, they wanted to make a small donation to our scholarship fund as a thank you for providing space for them, for us to meet. So that's just noted there. So thank you to them, and it's a great organization to continue working with. As we move on, some of the different activities that our students in grades 3 through 12 participated in this year are listed here. I love the fact that we continue, to still provide all the way through the high school. Of course, when students reach that level, they're kind of finding their niche, and we have such rich programming, whether that be HOSA, whether that be in the automotive area. I mean, there are so many opportunities there that students can follow their passions, but we still provide some leadership and academic competitions for them as well. And we begin already in 3rd grade with some different activities for our kiddos. So those are just some snapshots from our events this year. Moving forward, there's 3, though, that I did want to touch upon, because you talk about what does programming look like during a pandemic. Not only have we kept our great instruction going at the elementary, middle, high sites, but we've continued to keep some of the other programming in place. And some of you may have attended our creativity conference in the past. It's such a wonderful evening in the community where our students in kindergarten through 5th grade come together and bring those passion projects all to the middle school gym, and they set up shop, and grandparents are there and parents are there. And I think the parents had, just as much hand in the project, but it's so great, the family time that they shared, and kids are just excited to share that. Well, unfortunately, we were coming upon that date, and clearly we could not offer that opportunity in April. And so we decided to go the virtual route for those students who just still wanted more learning at home. And we provided them an opportunity to follow through on their projects, create a slideshow where then we linked everything on one slide. So if you were interested in a certain topic as a family, you could look at the video, look at, the different information they had researched. But you'll see there's 2 links there if anybody wants to pursue that. The top link takes you to a video that just showcases what our students did. And then the second link is actually the conference slideshows. So there's just a snapshot of some of our students who were involved this year, just a wide array of things that they researched. So we'll be congratulating those students with a little medal and certificate yet this spring, but lots of families got involved in that, and so that was fantastic. When we go to the next slide, you'll see that I also want to congratulate our 15 students that really worked hard this year to reach the level of publication in the Southern Lakes Anthology. And again, unfortunately, we were not able to honor them at the University of Whitewater this spring. We were able, though, to get their books distributed, not only to them, but to, the other districts in the area, so that all of the students in southeastern Wisconsin could receive those books at this time. And so these are our authors. What you'll see here linked, again, is a slideshow. I promised them that I would share with our school board their pieces, and we also have our other 9 students featured who were not selected for publication, but their pieces are fantastic. So if you have some time and are looking for some light reading, there's some really good writing and artwork that you can take a quick peek at here. So congratulations to these 15 students, and they range in grades from 3 through 8. And then finally, a shout out to our middle school We have a fantastic National Junior Honor Society committee there that was hard at work. And again, we didn't want to see the induction ceremony totally go to the wayside. So they put together a wonderful virtual ceremony in a sense, where they're still pledging, and we will regroup with our 7th grade students who will then be in 8th grade next year. That's under the direction of Nora Judd. But again, thanks to Max Sorensen and Ryan McBurney for putting together this celebratory video for their families and their recognition. So congratulations to those students as well. Okay. So in addition to what's happening during the school day, we continue to offer some after-school enrichment programs, which continue to vary. This year we tried a new club known as the Crazy Eights Math Club with a lot of math and problem solving. We had a teacher at Jackson take that on and pilot that, so that may be something that moves across the district next year. We continue to offer the Project Lead the Way after school sessions for our 4th and 5th graders. A running club has also developed so that we have physical fitness as a feature. And at the middle school level, the Fluid Power Challenge, our kids continue to place in that event each year, as well as leadership development we support through the GATE program as well. So a thank you to these teachers here who give of their time after school running some of those programs as well. One of the things we're doing right now, particularly at the elementary level, where we do need to start casting that wider net as far as developing programming that is spot on for our youngest learners, and looking for students who may need additional programming with identification and a differentiated individualized plan, is our teachers are completing documentation that looks like this. So we're just kind of noting if we see students with particular strengths in certain academic areas or creativity, leadership, and then we note what type of differentiated instruction was provided for them during the school year. All of this information then moves on to the next year's classroom teacher so that they can hit the ground running with those learners, understanding what programming looked like the previous year. So we're wrapping up that documentation at this point in time. One of the things we continue to also advocate for is when we see that particular need in the area of mathematics, of course, we continue to differentiate in all content areas. However, one of the things that we work to streamline, in a sense, in the district is, a math pathway for our students who really have a strength in that area to be able to advance into different courses. I think both the middle school and the elementary schools for aligning with this. The district supports this, even as necessary, busing some of our 5th graders to the middle school early in the morning and then back out to the buildings to begin their day, so that even if they are in 5th grade, they're still able to come face-to-face with students at the 6th grade level to continue on their math journey. You'll see here that we offer a geometry class for credit at the middle school now, and that's transcripted at the high school. We have many students taking algebra, and on occasion, we can have 2 to 6 students who are also taking honors algebra too. And again, thank you to Sarah Bosch and Ryan McBurney, and at times Chris Trottier, when we have utilized high school staff to make this happen. Now we've worked that our middle school staff is certified and able to handle all those classes. But, we work very carefully to make sure that all students get the opportunities they need. And this is just another example of that. And then wrapping up just some things today. When we find a need for a student to have an individualized plan, typically that's in the area of intellectual giftedness. We then will set those in place. Often some of the things that we work on with those students would be organization, feelings of perfectionism. Sometimes it's specifically in one subject, so that could be just the area of math. But oftentimes with our gifted students, we have to look at their social and emotional growth. And so we do try to provide some explicit programming to, just help them manage some of those social emotional unique traits that come with being gifted, helping them expand and build upon those self-advocacy skills and things like that. So, and that's where our leaders at each of those buildings come into play also to help meet the needs of those students. All right, and so once again, just a shout out to our school board for supporting our gifted and talented program in the district. It's just a pleasure, one of the highlights of my position, to continue to have a hand in this. These are fantastic students and families to work with, but what I like is that, you know, we do not have an inclusive program. We have an all-encompassing program. So as students demonstrate different needs or different interests in all areas, you know, they can explore that, and we have staff on hand that's able to support that, as well as different activities that just encourage that, all the way starting in kindergarten for those who dove in and raised those butterflies and painted that painting, you know, for our creativity conference. And God bless the parents for allowing that at home this year. So anyhow, any questions and follow up?
You mentioned in the beginning it's 4K through on up. What do we do for the 4K since they aren't in our building? What do we do to help them?
Sure. I think what we do, two things. This begins already with possible early entrance into the 4K program. I have on deck, you know, a few students and families I'll be meeting with now in June, you know, just to see if we have any 3-year-olds that are ready for such an opportunity. And in essence, we would start looking at if this child is intellectually capable as well as socially and emotionally capable of a little jump at this time, because then we would continue programming for that student throughout. So one of the things we look at is early entrance a possibility for our youngest in the district, more to receive and enrich those students when they come to us as, you know, prepared 4-year-olds the following year. We work with our 4K teachers mainly to just make sure that they're differentiating, whether that's through their center work, whether that's through some of the writing opportunities. You know, we've purchased some new materials that really have enhanced that over time, and we're very lucky to have some wonderful 4K teachers. So even though they're spread between the 3 sites, both Tammy Fisher and I are meeting with them monthly and providing that programming that they need in order to meet the needs of those students. Typically, we wouldn't formally identify our students until they're in the elementary sites, but occasionally through early entrance, either myself or one of our school psychologists have gone out to do some testing on site. You know, if we have a child who's reading at, say, a 2nd grade level in the 4K centers, we obviously need to go a little further in meeting those needs at that time.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
I'll just say thank you to Mrs. G, because I know, you know, going back to when you took this over, I mean, this has grown leaps and bounds, really. It's gotten much, much better in the time that you've been handling that. And I think you've done a good job with that. So
thank you so much. I work with some wonderful people who support this work, definitely. So
I think there was a time when we just pulled kids out and gave them extra worksheets. You know, I mean, this is leaps and bounds beyond that.
I know those. Luckily, those days are definitely gone. So yeah,
Personal experience.
Yeah, personal experience.
And I know technology was a big deal. My daughter was in that, and it was a big deal to go to UW Whitewater because we used to say she went to college, and she's like, yes, I'm going to college, you know. So it was an extra incentive, and she loved it. And I still come across books. I have them in the basement. And
do you?
Yeah, and then I'll sit and go. You look for your kids, and then I know, you know, and then you now that you got to know them.
Sure.
For years, that's what they were talking about. There's a hidden meaning in some of those stories. But yeah, no, I still have them.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear, Barb, because I'm sure that was very monumental to her at that time. And, Yeah, it was a little anticlimactic this year, but we, tried to feature them. And again, I wanted to bring them forth to the school board just so that you could kind of see those faces. And if you have time, there are some fantastic pieces to read over. It's always hard to get to 24 out of our entire district, especially as we continue to focus on writing at the elementary and middle school level. Now this year's becoming, you can tell that they're getting stronger each year. So yeah.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, I know. I imagine it is for kids. Yeah.
Well, and Kevin Gayhart he's one of the author's parents. So you have a very famous person in your presence tonight. So Tessa did a fantastic job with her poem. So way to go, Mr. Gayhart. Mm-hmm.
Amy, do our options kids participate in this at all, or do they have their own programming to this
Sure.
extent? How are these kids identified?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's easy to work with Tricia Spendy and her team as well. We've met from time to time to just look at some of the array of programming that is available if they were attending, say, a brick and mortar school. But like the Southern Lakes Anthology is open to them every year. They too are involved in the National Geography Bee. They kind of look at what fits best with their schedule and their families. They had a student participate in the virtual creativity conference this year as well. So, we continue to see what works with their programming. But yes, we're definitely open and collaborating with that school as well, most definitely.
Other questions?
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Recommendation of district administrator personnel.
All right, we have a number of items on the personnel sheet. First, we want to thank and congratulate Mr. Poggenstein for his 30 years of service to the school district. He has submitted letter of resignation for his retirement for at the end of this year. And also we want to give thanks to Susan Wagner, who will also be retiring at the end of the year after 15 years of service. James Ballou submitted a letter of resignation. He'll not return for the 2020-2021 school year. Justin Diedrich has accepted a position close to home up in the, I believe, Brookfield West. So he'll be resigning as a school teacher. We want to wish him well. I know he has a young family, and that was a lot to going back and forth. And he was also our head volleyball coach. We also want to thank Rick Rand for the past few years of service that he provided. He's resigned as the Jackson head custodian. And you see also the resignation of Mr. Diedrich as the volleyball coach. Mr. Kaiser has been the head soccer coach for, how long has it been? Close to 2 decades, I guess, or?
He said it was 10 in his letter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it hasn't been that long,
All
because
right.
Travis had someone else.
So 10 years, but we want to thank him for all of his time, commitment, and wish him well as he's decided to resign from the boys soccer head coach position as well. It's too bad the boys is in the fall.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then Jessica Barrett has also resigned as a girls basketball assistant coach. Then we have the transfer of Diana O'Malley, who will be moving from the middle school over to the Career and College Academy, formerly known as the Alternative High School, for the next year. I did not realize till the interview that Diane had been substitute teaching for the Alternative High School for the past several years, and we loved working with the students and the staff over there. So we think that'll be a good fit for her, and she'll take with her her reading specialist background as well, which will be a big benefit to the team over there. She'll be replacing Deb Bartholomew, who's retiring at the end of this year.
That's what I figured.
Okay, and then we have a transfer of Katie Spurley within the middle school. She'll just be moving from her position to the social studies position replacing Diana O'Malley. And then we have the transfer of Allison Lauderdale, who to the Jackson Special Ed teaching position. She'll be taking the 7-hour position.
So the dominoes start to fall.
Mr. Tadlock? Nobody's looking for a motion to approve our.
Do we need to approve? I thought we did.
I move to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for May 26, 2020 as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel recommendation sheet of May 26, 2020 as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martell,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Degner,
Yes.
Ms. Gottschalk.
Yes.
Motion carried. School gifts.
All right, I do have a school gift this evening. The Holton Foundation is donating $1,000 to the high school band department and $500 to the middle school band department. And Bob and Susan Flagsley has donated $100 to the food service program.
Thank them. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve to accept the generous gifts of the Holton Foundation and Bob and Susan Lively as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martell, Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Degner,
Yes.
Ms. Gottschalk.
Yes.
Motion carried. K-12 student parent handbook.
Okay, I did have one suggestion that I think was a good one from Mrs. Ingersoll for the handbook. It's on the very last page, related to a personal experience that she had. And it's basically giving a disclosure that if you do not park in designated parking spots, you may be issued a citation from the city of Elkhorn, courtesy of our police liaison officer in the Moody's Inn that day. Or the principals. Sometimes they just get warning. Depends on the mood they're in, and it could be a result of what's happening Friday. So that's the one change that was recommended. Students outside the designated parking areas may be issued a parking violation with a fine. I should say
Payable.
Mine says payable.
to the city of Elkhorn.
It's just.
I thought it was a good disclosure.
I think so too.
Just so they know that they can get tickets.
I thought about including student or staff, but it's a student parent handbook, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, right.
Further questions? Comments? Not hearing any, so looking for a motion.
I move to approve revise, oh no, wait, that's the wrong one. I move to approve the 2020-21 K-12 Student Parent Handbook as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the 2020-2021 K-12 Student Parent Handbook as presented. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martell,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Degner, Ms.
Yes.
Gottschalk.
Yes.
Motion carried. Second reading of revised policies.
I had no further comment on any of those policies. Is there anyone in particular that someone would like to review further this time? Otherwise, they're ready for a second approval.
Not hearing anything. Looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve revised policies 164 school board member compensation and expenses, 171 regular school board meetings, 171.1 public notification of board meetings, 171.2 agenda preparation and dissemination, 187 public participation at board meetings, 345.4 advancement, retention, and the co-curricular code of conduct as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve revised policies 164 school board member compensation and expenses, 171 regular school board meetings, 171.1 public notification of board meetings, 171.2 agenda preparation and dissemination, 187 public participation at board meetings, 345.4 advancement retention, and the co-curricular code conduct as presented. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martell,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Degner,
Yes.
and Ms.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Motion carried. Approval of the 2020-21 wages and salaries of supervisors, central office staff, and administrators.
Okay, our recommendation is to approve the wages and salary for supervisors, central office support staff, and administrators at the current levels of which they are, which would be the same fashion that we did for the professional staff. So basically a pay freeze for the time being, pending whatever budgetary outcome is.
Questions? Not hearing anything, looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the 2020-21 wages salary for supervisor, central office support staff, and administrators at the current 2019-20 wages salary as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So moved and seconded to approve the 2021 wages salary for supervisors, central office support staff, and administrators at the current 2019-2020 wages salary as presented. Mouthful. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martell,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Degner,
Yes.
Ms. Gotcha.
Yes.
Motion carried. Announcements.
Okay. I have a number of announcements. Let me pull up. Really just related to two topics. Wanted to share with you the Buildings and Grounds subcommittee related to the referendum construction had another meeting. And in that meeting, I think probably the highlight, we talked about HVAC, design possibilities there. We looked at some potential remodel, or I'd say light to heavy remodels in certain parts of St. Pat's related to the secure entrance, creating a corridor that would allow passage from kind of that main lobby area out to the back playground. Right now, they come in through the gym, and it's not great for gym floors.
Right.
Going through that, and also remodeling of the bathrooms in that front area to allow for a better supervision of flow. The bathrooms have to be gutted and redone anyway. So they're working on that. They're also looking at a traffic flow possibility, which C.G. Schmidt feels that, understandably so, it's really out of the scope because we didn't budget that, but it's something from putting in a parent drop-off lane like we have at Jackson that would really facilitate and make that drop-off flow much better than having parents drive behind the building and go around. So we're looking at that. I also included a link here in the board notes of a preliminary timeline. Tricia did receive back over, I believe, 80% of her family said that they would like us to move forward and fast track the project and go for it, knowing that they won't have access to the building for about 3 months in the fall. But we could potentially capitalize on some savings through the bidding process and perhaps enable us to do a little bit more of those items that we'd like to do, such as the traffic flow in the front or something like that. So this is the potential timeline. It's there for your perusing, but is there anything in particular that you have a question on at this time, or anything you want to add, Paul?
No, I think it went real well, and everybody's looking far enough ahead to hopefully circumvent any problems.
I think he agrees. All right. And I have to say, I think the team between CJ Schmidt and Kehoe and Henry, I think it'll be a good team. I think they push on each other in a way that's advantageous to us as the client, and I think we'll get a lot out of the project.
Good.
So,
For the city's cooperative.
wanted to share with you some, I'll just call them, for lack of a better term, COVID-19 updates. The situation is really fluid from the state level ever since the Supreme Court ruling and that came down and Wisconsin being opened up, as Governor Evers called it, similar to the Wild West, which it's really, it's a very different, and I think it's taking people a time to adjust back to that sort of circumstance. So DPI almost in the same time frame came out with some what they call interim guidance. Basically, they have schools pushing, hey, if we want to run a face-to-face summer school in July and August, what are your recommendations? What should we be looking at? DPI makes it clear that is not this Department of Health Services, that's their area of expertise, but if you want some interim guidance, here's some thoughts. But they're very clear that these are only thoughts. It's up to the local entity to adopt and put in place what they feel is best practice. So originally, some of those original thoughts had certain recommendations, such as limiting populations at 50% of capacity, different things like that. So I was in a meeting today. There's a group from Department of Health Services, WASDA, which is the Superintendent's Association, actually the Principals Association as well, getting together, creating what they're calling a roadmap for reopening. But again, there is not going to be any requirement, any restriction. I mean, a school could, if within their community, so long as their local health department didn't restrict them otherwise, could basically go in and say, we're just doing business as usual next fall. That's how we're approaching it. Two, a school could say, we're completely 100% virtual. And of course, that makes superintendents nervous around the state because when there's not uniformity in
Right.
approach,
Right.
there's a lot more questioning on that. But the reality is, and the state recognizes this, we're going to have over 400 different approaches to how to reopen school next year.
Right.
And which is right in line with the tradition of Wisconsin being a local controlled entities. We're not a state controlled education system. You know, some states they have, here's your curriculum, all grade levels. Here's the scope and sequence. You go to New York in third grade, they're on the same math lesson on the same day. It's very tight. We're not like that. So local decisions, I want you to be aware of that. I did not plan on sending a message out to parents last week because I really didn't have a lot of information, but monitoring social media, I saw that there was a lot of concerns over the
Right.
CDC
Yep.
information that came out and assumptions that people, I think, understandably so, started to lead to in regards to what school could potentially look like in the fall. I think it's safe to say that it's not going to look just like, pre-COVID-19, but we'll determine what that looks like at the local level here. We have begun initial planning, and we plan on creating a formal recommendation for the board to review and improve in July. My feeling is the later that we push that back, the
More information we have.
more information we'll have. Yes, I mean, I just read articles, Stanford research and the CDC's own research, they're finding that the death rate's much lower than they originally thought. We're barely 3 months into this. We have over 3 months until the next school year starts. So there's going to be a lot learned in that time frame. I think the later we can push that out, yet be prepared, we can have the best case scenario for our students and families. What we do know and what we're looking at is we're going to be including options for families just like we currently do. If we have a family who they're not comfortable having their kid in school at all, great, we've got online options, we've been doing that for years.
Right.
We'll have that structure. We'll need to find out who wants to do that. Who wants to be face-to-face and who wants to be in a blended, where there's a face-to-face with some limited content. So we know that we'll create that, we already have that in place, it'll just be, how much do we need to expand our virtual option? How much do we not? I'm anticipating, and it's a rough guess, that we could have upwards of 10% that want to do online only. That's doubling the size of our current virtual school. So that's not a small lift in and of itself. That's, if just 10% decided that's what they want to do, that's a big lift. But we can do that. So I'm envisioning that we'll also have more of a traditional approach in the brick and mortar buildings with screening measures in place. This roadmap is going to include specific things you need to have in place. One will be a screening measure. That's basically taking temperature when kids come in and making sure that if they are symptomatic, that you go through a checklist and what's your plan to get them home and or to a doctor or clinic to get tested. And then what are the safety protocols when you do have a symptomatic person that comes in? And how do we address that? They'll probably include a separate room from the health room where, if someone becomes symptomatic, that's where they have to go to get screened. So you keep them isolated and separate, and you're re-cleaning that area. So we know things are going to be along those lines. We're going to need to come up with a plan to address staff needs and concerns, and it's different for staff who are in a high-risk category, and the recommendations are different for them. So we do envision utilizing those individuals who cannot be in the school setting to be additional online teachers, with the anticipation of having a higher need there. And then we need to be flexible and dynamic as the situation on the ground may change. If we roll out where the kids are face-to-face and we have certain safety protocols in order, but now you have a couple of cases 2 or 3 cases that break out in the school, we know the recommendations are going to be to close the school for 2 weeks. So we need to be prepped that we may have, for example, Westside closed for 2 weeks because there were some cases there and the other schools rolling as business as usual. So we know that our teachers will need to be able to flip to that online learning and circumstance in a heartbeat. So those are things that we're anticipating and that we're planning on having in place. We also, knowing that there's going to be growing lead times, just like the toilet paper crunch in 2020, we put in the order for the surgical mask. We ordered, are putting in an order for 2,000 gallons of sanitizer. Sounds like a crazy number. We're basing that off of a gallon of sanitizer per classroom and then lasting about a month. So that gives us about a 4-month supply of hand sanitizer. We don't want to open up school and not be able to do it because we don't have the supplies in place. So, and then we ordered the last 50 sneeze guards from a plastics company that Brian Olson helped us get in contact with, because the clear polymer plastics that you see on those shields is running out all over the world, and the lead times are getting to be up to 5 months. So we bought up the last of those that they had. We got this contact, and we're ordering 1,000 face shields.
What about thermometers?
I'm sorry, what?
What about thermometers?
Oh, we've already ordered thermometers as well.
$1,000 worth of
I'm
Oh,
glad
that's
you
right.
brought
Yeah, they were,
that up.
I saw that. You're right.
Yeah, and we know that that number isn't going to be enough.
Right.
But we don't want to order more of those thermometers until we're checking a couple technologies. One is a tablet that as the students walk in or a staff member,
Sure.
they
Yeah,
put
there
their
is.
face in front of it, it'll check their temperature. Those run about $3,300 was the initial quote. We're going to have the company a piece. We're going to have the company come in and look at them. We found the same tablets on Alibaba for around $600, $700, but I don't know. We ordered one to see how the software integrates. Mike Dotz is also working with the security company to see what are the costs for the infrared cameras that maybe you've seen, like the casinos are using, or grocery stores,
Larger
businesses.
companies are
Yep.
doing it, yeah.
as they come in, just because if you think about the manpower in the log jam, if you're bringing 1,000 kids into high school
Right,
daily,
I know,
plus another 80 staff, and you have to
right,
take all their temperatures.
right.
Well, someone told me we shouldn't have hired the ag teacher, we should have hired a nurse.
I bet it wasn't an FFA alum, was it?
No, it was not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things out there. People that,
Yeah.
are out there in technology. There's a lot of room for development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there is.
I've heard stories about people developing technology for like the base for National Baseball League and stuff, where they're gonna quarantine these baseball players, and then basically they're gonna be in their bedroom, and they have like scanners in the room that constantly scan their temperature
Oh, my gosh.
and their like vital signs like all
Well,
night
There's
long.
millions of
And
dollars.
if there's like,
right in
and
those.
I honestly, this is like real stuff that we're working on.
Crazy.
Scan them all night long and make sure they don't get a fever. And if they do, they come in and just get rid of them or whatever. They're quarantined.
Get rid of them.
Traded.
Like,
So it's a
We'll get a
fluid
play for the Cubs.
situation. Yeah. And what we're hearing, and sometimes, and I appreciate this, we get lots of ideas and suggestions from people in the community too, and it's all very well intended, and we're having an opportunity to get to see other schools open. But
Right,
we also have to remind ourselves, what we're watching is them open right now.
right.
We need to kind of project where are they going to be 3 months from now? Because that's the situation we'll be in. Their summer break, they don't have the luxury of pushing that out 3 months from now. They're having to open, because Europe and ourselves, we're only a week apart in the closing down of the pandemic and that spread. So
There was,
we'll get to see them work through that process for a few months and see what point they get to and how things happen.
there was one school, I think it was South Korea, where they were showing, they've got all the plastic cards at the lunch table. So everyone has their own little cubicle to be in, and wow, that's just
And
a
that's why there's
lot.
no plastic left. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know when we built ours for the town hall, which are really, makeshift, and he bought the last that he could find in the area. He said, that's it.
Yeah.
So I'll make what I can. It sounds good to me.
And I don't think the schools have really hit the marketplace in force yet. Yeah.
Right.
So that's where we're at, though. I feel like we have a good jump on it. We should have the initial materials in hand for whatever plan we develop to
Oh,
roll
Jerry
out that
Brooks,
start of the
he's
year.
funny.
Mike's also has the cleaning supplies on hand. So ultimately, though, we will want the board to, sign off on, that final plan and have input into that as well to make sure that you're comfortable as community members. But I think what I've learned through this initial early process is you're not going to satisfy everyone. And so taking an approach that gives the parents and the students choices, at least we can say, well,
Right.
we have a spot for you where you'll feel comfortable.
Right.
Is the school district eligible for any FEMA funds?
Yeah, so we're receiving a lot of what this is being paid for by would be,
Yeah,
well, I don't know if the CARES Act is considered FEMA funds, but
It's not, but it's federal dollars.
yeah,
Federal
okay, yeah.
dollars,
FEMA funds are different because I looked and we don't qualify for that. And the other, we're gonna get through the elections, so I didn't know how that fit with you guys.
we will be getting CARES Act money.
Okay.
And I did include a link in there. Jerry Brooks is
He's
the principal
funny.
from
I can
downtown.
so funny.
He's funny.
It was hilarious.
This is the first one I've seen though where he's not being funny. He even has a hard time doing his
Mhm.
accent. But it's related to the CDC guidelines.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a rant.
I did see it. It was very funny.
All right.
Just a couple questions on this.
Yes.
So is that going to be at the 13th, July 13th board meeting that'll be presented or later on?
I don't know yet. I think I want to wait and see where the roadmap is and where we're at with it. And perhaps I was thinking we could probably have a more accurate plan on the second board meeting in July, but
Second board, that's the annual meeting.
I think we can, we have the annual meeting followed by the regular meeting.
Mhm.
But we could always, we'd certainly be ready to have a plan
Just-
presented, but
I'm just asking the question, doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah.
The other question was, have we gotten any guidance about legal challenges anticipated because somebody's child gets rejected because our protocol says they're not supposed to be in school?
No, not that far ahead yet. We've gotten guidance on, there's been a lot of focus on conversations on what's our potential liability.
Yeah.
And I have another legal seminar, but that's not for 2 weeks out yet. So there's still questions around that.
Yeah.
The initial legal advice has typically been in both by insurance carriers and lawyers around the state is if you're not violating a state order, then you're fine. You should be fine from the liability standpoint. So for example, if the state said you have to remain closed through June 30th, and we opened up before then, that could open us up to liability. But with the state shifting to these are just recommendations, that we shouldn't be covered by liability, but that's how they term it. The safer blanket would be if there's legislation passed that covers us from liability in the instance that someone gets sick at school. So that's where legal's at on it right now. I haven't heard, I think that's a good question, on are we restricting, are we taking, I think that challenge will come up, and I can ask that to the lawyers. It's a good question.
Yeah, because from a business standpoint, if I have employees, my protocol is your temperature has to be this or less, otherwise I'm sending you home. And some places are sending them home for 14 days.
Right.
And it alerts me to the fact that when we have other situations, now we're telling that child he can't be at school. I think we just have to have that logistically worked out.
Yeah.
So that
there's other reasons why people have temperatures, right?
Well, 94% of the people tested have other reasons as to why they test or why they were tested in the first place.
Right.
So I think you're right, and I also would envision our protocols probably not being you get to return to school 24 hours after having the fever, which is our current guidance.
Right.
But my guess is the recommendations would be if someone has a fever, you're right, you're seeing you should stay away for 14 days. And I could see people challenging that.
Well, and the whole, where I work, also the stigma of why did that employee get sent home? So they're actually taken to a different area of the plant and it's dealt with.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, Ed got sent home because he's got a fever.
Right.
So, we don't want to have a stigma on children either. And so I just think we need to look at that.
Yeah.
Whatever we implement, we want to understand.
Try to be as sensitive as possible.
Yeah.
And I think we really need to encourage parents, really take your kid's temperature before school and don't do what many of us have done before, pop a couple of ibuprofens in them and hope that it lasts throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's been done for so many years.
Well,
Some
it
parents,
has,
because
but I
they
think we're in a
they
different
aren't able to
situation.
be hold it. And that's where I think it runs into that problem.
Well,
I would like to know what the recommendation is going to be if we have a student that tests positive. At what point are they allowed back into the school, assuming that going to run through their family and we don't know the occurrence rates or what. It'd be nice to know what legal advice is.
Yeah, and we'll have to see what the recommendations, they haven't gotten that specific.
It's far more likely that an adult will get it before a student does.
Correct.
My guess is if you have foreign test positive, they're probably going to recommend they don't come back until they have a negative test.
Right.
And for a certain time period.
Yeah.
Is my guess. Oh, those are good questions. That's why we just need more time for them.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I just think that potential is out there, and I'm sure there's other districts that are thinking about it, so that as we listen and we can learn, that would be great.
You're absolutely right, and that's why you really violate the confidentiality or even FERPA of the kids as you're taking their temperatures in front of everyone. Yeah.
There's so much.
So I think finding the technology device which discreetly alerts administration, it's going to be a new norm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that or thoughts?
Maybe her only.
Yeah, we'd be
Right.
Yeah.
You get your crystal ball fixed.
Well, and just so you're aware, we have a neighboring district who, their school board chose to move forward with graduation on May 31st. So you'll hear about it. People may ask you in the community. They're considering it well, from my perspective, that there's a loophole in the Supreme Court ruling that said schools must be closed for school activities and extracurriculars through June 30th. They're saying, well, it's a ceremony, it's not a school activity. So they're going ahead and holding a face-to-face despite, the health department saying that's nuts and all these other factors, but they're taking safety protocols. They're going to run with it and do that. So if you do hear that, that may come up. We're sticking to, from a planning perspective as well, I think our students and families know August 6th is there. I think it probably does bode a little better for us to have some format of a face-to-face type graduation. I would want to do it indoors, at least not at this point, but who knows by the time August gets here. But,
Yeah, at that point, we're only a month away.
so that's all I have for the announcements.
There. Motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Second.
Moved and second to adjourn. Roll call vote.
Wait, who seconded that?
I did.
All right, Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart, Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martell,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Degner,
Yes.
Ms. Gottschalk.
Yes.
Signing off for the last time.
So long.
Thank you.